Open your fridge right now, or picture it if you're not home. Rows of packaged food, washed vegetables, meat cut into neat pieces. None of that existed for most of human history. For nearly 3 million years, nobody had a fridge, a farm, or a grocery store. So what did your ancestors actually eat? The real answer is far stranger than meat and berries. You've probably heard the caveman story. Big slab of mammoth meat, maybe a handful of nuts. Done. But that story was mostly invented in the 20th century, not dug up from the ground. Anthropologists who actually study ancient diets found something far messier, something far smarter, something your own body is still built around, whether you realize it or not. Start with your teeth. Look in a mirror. You have flat molars in the back and sharper points in the front. That's not the mouth of a pure carnivore. A lion's mouth is built for slicing flesh and almost nothing else. Yours is built for grinding, crushing, and tearing all at once. Your teeth are a menu, and that menu says omnivore, not predator. Primatologist Catherine Milton spent years studying the diets of wild primates to understand what early hominins might have eaten before agriculture. Her research pointed to something surprising. Fruit, not meat. Fruit made up a huge portion of the diet for many of humanity's closest relatives, and likely for early humans too. Ripe, sugar-rich, energy-dense fruit gathered by hand from trees across the African landscape. But fruit alone couldn't fuel a growing human brain. Your brain burns roughly 20% of your daily energy, just sitting inside your skull, thinking. That number is enormous for an organ that size. So where did the extra fuel come from? Roots, tubers, underground storage organs packed with starch. This is where things get interesting. For decades, scientists assumed early humans mostly ignored plants like this because they're hard to find and hard to chew raw. Then researcher Amanda Henry examined something almost nobody had thought to check. Dental plaque, fossilized dental plaque, sitting untouched inside the teeth of ancient hominins for over 100,000 years. Trapped inside that ancient plaque, she found microscopic starch granules. Proof that early humans were eating starchy plants, grains, and tubers far earlier than anyone expected. Your ancestors weren't just chasing animals across the savannah. They were digging, foraging, testing which roots wouldn't make them sick. Failing sometimes, trying again, and then came fire. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham built an entire theory around one idea. Cooking didn't just make food taste better, cooking made humans human. Raw food takes enormous energy to digest. Cooked food breaks down faster, releases more calories, and frees up energy for something else entirely. A bigger brain. Wrangham's cooking hypothesis suggests that once early humans started using fire regularly, something around 1 to 2 million years ago, their gut could shrink while their brain could grow. Less energy spent digesting, more energy spent thinking. It's a trade your ancestors made without knowing they were making it, and you're still living inside the result of that trade every single day. So picture the actual meal, not a mammoth steak sizzling over a bonfire. Something smaller. A shared pile of roasted tubers, a handful of forage greens. Maybe insects, which were far more common on the ancient menu than people assume today, packed with protein and easy to find. And yes, sometimes meat. Not a daily hunt with spears and drums, but scavenged carcasses, small game, opportunistic kills when the timing lined up. Here's the twist almost nobody expects. Meat wasn't the main event, it was the bonus round. Most calories, most days, likely came from plants, roots, fruit, nuts, leafy greens. Meat was valuable, calorie-dense, and worth celebrating when it happened, but it wasn't guaranteed. Hunting is unreliable. A missed throw means an empty stomach. Gathering, on the other hand, almost always produced something. Slower, less dramatic, but dependable. This is where the caveman diet myth completely falls apart. There was no single ancient diet, there were hundreds of them. Humans living near coastlines ate shellfish and fish in massive quantities. Humans in colder climates leaned harder on animal fat for survival. Humans in tropical forests ate more fruit and starchy plants than anyone eating a modern paleo meal would guess. Your ancestors weren't following a rule book. They were adapting constantly to whatever their specific patch of earth provided that season. And that flexibility is the real inheritance. Not a fixed menu, a flexible gut, a brain wired to crave variety. Because variety used to mean survival. Craving something sweet, something salty, something fatty, all in the same week, isn't a modern weakness. It's an ancient strategy, echoing forward into a body that no longer needs it the way it once did. Which brings us to now. Your kitchen, your cravings. That pull toward sugar isn't random. It's the same instinct that once sent your ancestors climbing toward ripe fruit, because sugar meant fast, safe energy in a world with no guarantees. That craving for fat and salt, same story. Ancient signals, still firing, inside a body surrounded by abundance instead of scarcity. Anthropologist Lauren Cordain popularized the idea of eating like your ancestors, and while the specifics of his version have been debated and revised over the years, the underlying instinct behind it wasn't wrong. Your body still runs on hardware built for a world that mostly doesn't exist anymore. A world of unpredictable meals, seasonal shortages, and constant foraging. A world where finding food was work, not a decision made in 3 seconds standing in front of an open fridge. Think about that the next time you're not even hungry, but you eat anyway. Your ancestors rarely had that problem. Food wasn't always available, so the body never developed strong brakes for enough. It only developed a powerful accelerator for more, just in case. That accelerator is still installed. It just used to have a world of scarcity keeping it in check. None of this means modern food is bad or that your instincts are broken. It means your instincts are old. Older than agriculture. Older than fire, in some ways, though not older than the moment fire changed everything. Your body is a record of every meal your species ever nearly missed. So the next time you open that fridge, pause for a second. You're not just choosing a snack. You're standing at the end of a 3 million-year experiment in survival, staring at more food than your ancestors could have imagined in an entire season, deciding what to eat with a brain built by roots, fruit, fire, and a few lucky hunts.